Hello, welcome to the Pint Patter podcast, where our patter is piss, but our pints aren't. To introduce ourselves, I'm Caden, and I am joined by my co-host, Dino.
Hi, hello, welcome. So, sadly we can't be at the pubs, having our usual wild conversations. But instead we're at home. And I've still got a tinny, actually. So, I'll be cracking it for the pint patter.
No bad. As for our topics today, we'll start with something controversial. Literally.
Yeah.
Do you
I feel
want
like everyone's got some controversial opinions.
Whether it's guilty pleasure or they wear it on their sleeve?
Yeah, literally. I don't know. It's hard to think about, but I think one of mine, although recently it's become more of like a unpopular opinion, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the show Friends.
Mm.
Tons of people love that, right?
Yeah.
Absolute classic from back in the day. But I just don't like it. I think it's absolute trash.
Honestly, when I first watched it, I had it on and I was okay with it. And it was mostly like background noise for whatever I was doing at the time. And I seen it was still on Netflix last year during like late 2019. So I decided to stick it back on and see if I enjoyed it. I got through like a season or two and I was just bored. It's so boring. Like the only characters I have any sort of interest towards are like Joe and Chandler. Joey, sorry, not Joe. And
Hi, Joey.
I like David Schwimmer, but I like it more in an analytic way with him being Ross.
Yeah.
I know there's always the arguments about the other controversies, like should they were on break. But apart from that, I think Friends is just one of those shows that the general populace will like, and that's not a bad thing.
I mean, it's a comedy, right?
Yeah, it's a situation comedy.
Like, there's obviously a lot of parts that will factor into like what makes a good show.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find like a lot of it funny. There's certain moments where I was like, oh, that's good,
Like the Joey reaction.
Yes, like the slow reaction. Yeah, that's a good one. There's a few, but I think majority of it's just unfunny, and it's also one of those shows that has canned laughter.
Yeah.
And have you seen those videos where like they'll take the clips of one of those shows? It's like either that or Big Bang Theory, and they'll take out all of the canned laughter, and it's so awkward.
Yeah,
like,
it seems psychotic. Like the silence, they don't feel like real friends, especially in Big Bang Theory when like you see Howard sat by himself saying nothing's happening. But like people will choose to like argue that's the reason why the show's bad is because if there was no laughter, the situation would be awkward. But if there was no canned laughter, the acting wouldn't be in place to have those situations. They would be reacting literally after the said joke.
Do you think they have like in their scripts? It's just written like
sit still.
Sit still for 2 seconds.
Pull off uncanny look. Well, seeing as you've knocked off one of your controversial opinions, I think mine will definitely trigger a lot of people, including yourself.
Oh dear.
With I'm not a big fan of Star Wars. In fact, I quite dislike the original trilogy from really decades back. Like I remember my brother getting me to watch it, and I just wasn't intrigued by the themes. I liked Mark Hamill. I like Mark Hamill in anything, but honestly, a lot of the actors I wasn't a fan of. I really dislike Han Solo a lot. I've always had a sort of dislike towards him. I fell asleep halfway through the first film, so Ken put on the second film. I fell asleep again, so he decided to skip that trilogy and moved me on to the prequels, which wasn't as bad to me. But yet again, I didn't identify with the themes. I didn't feel they were that good. I watched the movies. I thought they were enjoyable at most. They were like, oh yeah, that's cool to look at, but I didn't really like it. And then Force Awakens comes out in 2015, and it's the first of the lot of the movies that I've enjoyed like a character. I really liked the character portrayals. Like I really like Finn. And that.
Mhm.
But then Last Jedi comes out, and I thought it was good seeing it in cinema too. But after a rewatch, a lot of the plot in it could be cut down. I feel like I remember seeing people talk about it in another podcast. I'm not gonna quite not gonna advertise or bad yourself podcast or anything, but they were talking about how the whole gambling planet shenanigans could have
Yes.
really just been cut
It
out.
didn't. It didn't need to be there.
No.
It was there as like a whole side plot for just Finn and it's Rose. Yeah.
Yeah. What really crippled that trilogy is definitely the lack of a consistent director and screenplaying and looking forward. Like a lot of the films, they weren't planned properly, like what we're gonna do in the third one. And it was the same with, I believe, the original trilogy. They didn't quite know what they wanted to do for the twist, I think. And I can definitely see why it's liked. It's just not my thing. It's like I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's bad, it's terrible.
No.
Why people like it? I understand why people like it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, there's a theme to it, and obviously it's like sort of space and that, sci-fi.
I think it's.
So is that not one? Is that not a general theme or aesthetic that you're a fan of in general, or is it just a Star Wars thing?
No, like you say it. Like I was gonna say, but I really like Alien and that aesthetic. But that aesthetic is like long gone in terms like it feels like old timey sci-fi. So did Star Wars, but it was a different aesthetic, different aesthetics. But I generally don't like space shows, but I really liked Star Trek when I was watching it. I really liked how each episode had a political theme, a strange theme, or just really weird aliens where Kirk has to deal with it, or bloody Leonard Nimoy's character Spock has to come save. I really enjoyed watching that, and I need to watch more of it again. But I'm not really a spacey type of guy. I'm not really sci-fi. Same with fantasy, really, as well. Like Lord of the Rings-esque fantasy, which is another opinion I'll go over later.
I think about Star Wars is like, it's obviously such a massive franchise, and there's so many fans. But like even the fans will like bicker and like, this bit's crap, that's crap, and they'll complain amongst themselves. But it is something it's just so full in terms of the universe, like what they've created.
Actually, no, that I say it, I think I do like Star Wars, but I like the extended universe stuff rather than any of the main stuff, like the show Mandalorian. I really bloody enjoyed that, watching that for you, and we're not going to say any spoilers or anything, but I really liked how characters are portrayed, how episodic they are. There's different things going on, nothing's the same, but it's got like a contriving storyline to the end. And like a show I grew up with when I was really young that was directed by Genndy Tartakovsky, I think his name is, who did the likes of Samurai Jack and I think Powerpuff Girls. He did a Clone Wars show in which has one of the most badass scenes with Grievous in it. And probably the best thing they could have done with Grievous so far, because they shat on him in the films.
Yeah, they did. They protected him as like just ill. And like on his last legs, just absolutely finished. Which is you always want to see like an absolutely strong villain,
Especially with how cool he looked and his abilities. But I honestly think maybe the Clone Wars TV show by Genndy is probably just a bit biased because I really like his works. He could probably well do anything, and I'd probably watch it. I think he's done a show called Primal, and it's literally just about a caveman. There's no dialogue or anything. It's just about a caveman who rides on this dinosaur, going cutting about, and I really want to watch that, and people love it. Any other controversial opinions?
I've got a couple. I've got a couple. I was trying to think of certain ones.
Because mine are just going to continually annoy people. I know for a fact.
I've got one that is so obviously since I think it was 2017 Fortnite came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was like the surge, or like the propel for battle royale as a
Yeah.
genre. There was obviously games
Yeah,
beforehand.
like it just spontaneously like combusted in popularity. It's just I
Hmm.
went over. I think it's because it was sort of unique in the sense of the way it came out,
Yeah.
and it's very, very kid friendly. Very.
Oh,
There's
definitely.
no doubt about it.
They made it easily accessible for everyone, and they made it free as
And
well, which was a
yeah,
move that
free to play
wasn't
games.
exactly pulled before.
It propelled a lot of things like battle passes where you pay for like a pass to get stuff on a free game, and that's how they make their revenue
Aye.
alongside the shop, which has a lot of overpriced things. Whereas back in the day, maybe you're playing. I don't know if Modern 2 had them or Black Ops had them, but when some of the earlier CODs, you could buy camo packs for like $1.99 or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
these
Black
these
Ops 2 had
things on
that.
like Fortnite and COD nowadays could cost like a 5 or a tenner just to get a measly one
Just
skin.
one skin. Yeah, it is terrible.
And
So
then
yeah, my unpopular opinion is just that I don't like battle royale as a genre. I don't like
yeah,
it as a game mode. I just no like. There's been a couple before Fortnite,
hmm
um, like PUBG, and I think there was H1Z1 did it as well, or maybe that was a bit after. I can't mind, but obviously Fortnite came out, and I think everyone's played it at least once.
yeah,
Everyone's jumped on it and played it. And to be fair, at the time, I did enjoy it because for a lot of games,
yeah,
when they're brand new, they have this like feeling of just
freshness.
freshness. Yeah, so it was fresh, and I think at the time the engine and like the movement, the guns, it felt nice.
Yeah,
But as it went on, it started to feel a lot more just clunky, and then
yeah,
it just became dead, and
yeah,
I started to really not enjoy the like jumping into games. Right, you drop at a location, there's nobody there, and you're looting for a while. You get into the ring, you can't find anyone for like 5 minutes, and then the first gunfight you get into, you're dead. So like you just spend 5 minutes doing fuck all.
yeah.
It's like frustrating getting into those games, and then you've got the alternative of dropping somewhere spicy, you know. Um,
hmm
but then the likeliness of you coming out of that alive as well is difficult.
Yeah.
So it's like a catch-22 almost. It's hard to get like the perfect game, um, and just a really enjoyable game.
You just have to know the meta, and you have to be like one of these top
You
tier
do.
players. But
Um,
I think that's the funny thing about Fortnite as well is its battle royale became extremely popular when it came out. 2017, was it 2017?
I think it was
I think
2017.
roughly. And that was just the battle royale. That was the online aspect of battling people online. Yet their
Hmm.
Save the World feature, I believe, has been going on since about 2012, 2011 maybe. It's been
Yeah.
in development for ages. And then they decide one day where they're going to release an online battle royale, and that's how their game gets popular. Not the thing they've been working on for literally 6 years. They must have felt like absolute silly buggers.
Oh, I know. Like, there's been so many games that have copied that meta as well of battle royales. Um, I've tried like a majority of them as well, so it's not like I've just um, not dipped my toes into it.
hmm
So, I've tried a lot of them. I've tried the Call of Duty ones. There was Blackout at first,
I guilty
and
pleasure
then
mine
is it
was.
um, was so that there was that one. I just like even watching it as well. I just don't find it entertaining.
hmm
I don't know. Um, and it was the same for what's the one that's out now? Warzone. Warzone. That's like everyone's talking about it. If people are talking about COD, they're talking about Warzone,
Yeah,
right?
like
And I
Warzone and
just
Twitch now is just it's
I
out of it's horrible. And like any COD that was on Twitch before, you would get maybe like the channel had with like 25k viewers at most on a day. Plus points, unless the game's like brand new out and people are like, oh, it's a new COD, 100k views for the first day, sort of stuff is going on. But now Warzone's its big bloody battle royale they've got out, and they're going to continue it into the next game, which is the next Black Ops game, which I'm not holding hope for, but I've always been a Black Ops fanboy. Missed my 2010 days. Where are the numbers, Mason? What are the numbers?
What are the numbers? What do they mean?
Getting all that
that was
sitting in the
that's been an excellent series, you know.
It just died story wise when Black Ops 3 hopped out.
Yeah. And then there was just no campaign. They literally replaced the campaign. They scrapped it for the Battle Royale, which makes me dislike Battle Royale even more, you know.
Yeah. I've got quite a few more opinions here before we move on to general talk. It's not a negative controversial opinion. It's not like I dislike it. I like Jurassic Park. I really like Jurassic Park, actually. All the movies, I like them all. I don't dislike them. It's a classic. It's a cult classic. Not a cult classic. It's really popular. But with the original Jurassic Park trilogy, a lot of people don't like or think it's their least favorite of the trilogy is the third one, and I can 100% see why. But wearing my rose-tinted glasses from nostalgia and my favorite dinosaur being the Spinosaurus is my favorite of the original trilogy. I mean, I can really understand why the original Jurassic. I was rewatching the trilogy. In fact, the first two I really like more than I did when I was younger. The first one with Alan Grant and the one that Jeff Goldblum plays.
Oh yeah.
And then Jeff Goldblum gets his own movie, being the second one, the sequel, with the going to the other island. And I really enjoyed that. I really liked the situations they get themselves into, especially with like the Velociraptors. All the Velociraptor scenes in the movies are good. Like the kitchen scene when they're jumping about, they're trying to hide, confusing the Velociraptors. Just seeing them walk in and have the big toe, the big claw tap the floor.
I think it's a fantastic trilogy. It's been a while since I've seen them.
Yeah. In fact, you've seen up to Jurassic World, and you quite enjoyed that, and we've got to get you to watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I'm not actually sure what people think of that mostly. I know my brother wasn't like too fussed about it. He definitely thinks the first one was better, and I'm like, I don't mind the movie. I actually really like the movie. Let's see what you think about it. I really enjoyed Jurassic World, though. I really liked the Dominus Rex. I really liked how it takes away from like how Jurassic World's about, but it's supposed to be like original dinosaurs. It's supposed to be the dinosaurs they brought back. But in reality, in the first movie, they explained that they're supposed to be feathered and they're not supposed to be reptilian-like as they are. So that's already having them be different and hybrids. So the possibility of having Jurassic World have Dominus Rex is a big fuck-off hybrid, Velociraptor hybrid bastard. It's always cool, and I really like Chris Pratt's performance.
So you're saying you think out of the original trilogy,
the third one's the best.
The third's the best.
It's a guilty pleasure. It's 100% guilty pleasure.
Did they all come out in the 90s?
2001, I think Jurassic Park 3 was, which was another Alan Grant one. I think a lot of people dislike the third one because of the main child they go to rescue's mother and father are quite annoying. It's stupid. They don't think. They cheat Alan Grant into save the child. By the end of the film, there's like a lot of virtue signaling and a lot of like divorce stuff going on. Like, I want to get back together. It's a bit like you don't really give a shit about characters that you don't really like.
No.
But to be honest, it's just about the dinosaurs for me. But I understand fully that, like, in terms of script writing, the first two are better, and shit like that.
I mean, most classic trilogies, I feel like the first one is just. I think the first one's mostly the one that's most liked because it's the one that like sets the tone, it sets the theme.
The themes, like can't think of any like.
If you ever like scroll on Facebook and that, and you see these pages that upload like specific scenes from films
Mm-hmm.
and that. If you were to ever come across ones from like Jurassic Park, a lot of them would be from that first film because of like how iconic it was, you know. So yeah, I think a lot of them. I think in some cases, the second can be the better one.
And I believe Shrek, for example. A lot of people much
A lot
prefer
of
it the
people
second
know.
movie. Honestly, it's better in every way for me as well because you can clearly see that its animation's a bit better than its predecessor, where it's a bit clunky. It's not bad animation, not at all. You get that with like 3D animated films, CGI is going to be really dated if it came out early 2000s to 90s. Like Toy Story 1, you'll enjoy a lot from your childhood, or
Yeah,
even now. It's got good narrative. But
but seeing
it's
the comparison.
the comparison,
Oh
the
my
dog
god,
to like Toy Story 4's dog. I haven't seen Toy
Jesus!
Story 3, but or 4, sorry, not 3. But seeing the cat and that and the dog, and then you go back to Toy Story 1 with that kid's dog.
I know. Seen
That
it. It's
bulldog.
fucking Jesus, man.
French. Man.
Aye, so have you got more unpopular opinions? What's
I feel like I got quite a few. A lot of them are just me being like, I don't like the franchise. Like The Matrix, another one my brother got me to watch. I don't think you've watched them.
I don't think so. No, actually, that's another classic
Like,
I need to get around to doing.
yeah, again, I'm not a fan of being in virtual reality sort of things, source code things. I think I like forget things that happen to that might not be truly like virtual reality or anything or whatever. There's the blue pill and red pill that's really popular from it.
Yeah,
with Morpheus and all that. And
iconic.
I'm just not a fan. I watched the trilogy, gave them a chance, didn't like it, mostly because of Ken and I. But
Just
another one that I took, which will probably trigger people more than the Star Wars thing, I'm not sure, but is Lord of the Rings. On Sky TV, they had all three on Sky TV to watch for free. You could go onto the demand and watch them, and I did that. And they're all the director's cuts, so it's like the really long ones, like last like 12 hours in total.
yeah,
You watch in a
extended
marathon.
cuts.
And I watched 3 of them over the span of 3 days, and I wasn't the biggest fan. I found myself bored. I didn't like the bleakness. Like obviously people enjoy that. Maybe I'd enjoy it like better now because I was like 15 or 14 at the time of watching it. But then I watched the likes of The Hobbit with Martin Freeman, and I really enjoyed Martin Freeman as an actor. But I enjoyed The Hobbit, and I thought people would prefer those movies as well over Lord of the Rings. But I was wrong. They don't pretend to be faithful. They're too childlike, and I'm like, I can see that.
Yeah.
So what I did during my first half of my college year in 2019 is read the novel The Hobbit, all of it, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but I feel it's very overrated. Honestly, like I think if you're younger and you watch it and you enjoy it, that's definitely a benefit. And I don't know. I just didn't feel narratively like invested unless you're like really into like the Dungeons and Dragons esque fantasy sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's also an unpopular opinion of mine as well as Lord of the Rings. I'm not a fan. You know, I think the casting's good. I appreciate the casting that's in them, and the portrayal's very good. But again, it's one of those like aesthetics and themes. I'm not into that. I'm not into the story.
Because you're a football fan and I'm a big
maybe,
and maybe that's why. I don't know. We're just different people that will piss our viewers off.
It's this thing, like see a lot of the Lord of the Rings fans are very passionate about it as well. They will defend it to the death.
I've like told many people these things. Like these controversial opinions are not secretive. I've told my friends. They know they don't agree with me and think I don't have any taste. But you
catch them in a bad day, you're starting an argument right there. Oh, I don't know. I tell you what. There's one other unpopular opinion I have. and it's more like this is more of like a I like it, but like a lot of people would be like, oh, what, how? That's disgusting. And it's flat beverages, right? So you know how when you get like a fizzy drink and it's been sat there for a wee bit and it just goes flat. A lot of people will be like, that's disgusting. They'll chuck it out, right? They'll get rid of it. But genuinely, I actually like flat drinks a lot of the time. I don't know. I don't know why I do, but just I don't know. Just
Yeah.
I like flat beverages.
I don't even think that's like controversial. I just think people are just weirded out and disgusted by it. It's just
Yeah, it's
what is
unusual,
this?
isn't it?
It's like it's a really weird like food preference. Like
Yeah.
I
Taste.
think if I were to have a controversial one, food wise, if it is controversial, is maybe I don't like sweets, particularly like chocolate, just normal chocolate. People,
Yeah.
like I've heard people are like, I don't believe there's anybody out there that doesn't like chocolate, and I'm like, well, I've already disproven your theory, you fucking heathen.
I know. Yeah, you're more of a savoury person than
Yeah.
a
And
sweet
if I do
person.
like sweets, it'll be of the vanilla variety. I really like vanilla ice cream. You know, well, people know I like vanilla. I drink fucking vanilla vodka, mate. I live on the
I
stove.
know. If we were in the pub right now, that would be your
If I was in the pub,
go-to beverage.
go-to beverage, they had that. Boom, pow. Like,
Mm.
bloody hell, I've got lamb's rum next to me, a litre of it. That's got vanilla and cinnamon in it. You don't like cinnamon, but it doesn't. There's not really like a powerful cinnamon taste. I'm sure you've had lamb's rum before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Lamb's
says it's
just
got cinnamon in it, but
fantastic.
it's like you don't really taste cinnamon.
No, I taste the vanilla a lot
It's really
more.
the vanilla. It's a shame that it's only 30% because I'd be as still in the stuff if it was even like 35%.
Mm.
But
You know what weird people out about the flat drinks thing,
what?
right? Is there's times where so I've got a fridge in my room, like a mini fridge, and there's times where like I'll have a couple 2 litre bottles, right? So say I've got like a 2 litre bottle of Pepsi Max and a 2 litre bottle of Iron Brew, say, right? And it's some drinks are a lot better. I find some of them like nah, they're not as good when they're flat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think cola for me is like my favorite flat beverage. But
Like,
there's times where I'll have 2 2 litre bottles, right? And I won't bother getting like a glass and pouring it into that. I'll just drink out the bottle.
mm-hmm.
So what I'll do is I'll keep it in the fridge so that it's absolutely cold. I'll take one 2 litre bottle out at a time, right? I'll get through maybe like a third of it, and then the bottle will start to get more warm as it's just been sitting in the room.
Oh god.
And then I'll put it back in the fridge, and I'll open the other 2 litre bottle, so they're both open. And I'll purposely do this so that it's like it becomes more flat, and I'll keep swapping between the two 2 litres until they get flat, so that like the last third of the 2 litre bottles are flat. So I do enjoy like the most of the bottle being fizzy and being
Yeah.
At its best, but I also get to enjoy the flatness. I think flat drinks is much more enjoyed as well when it is cold.
I think I'm not going to talk about. I think I'll mention this briefly, very briefly. Is my controversial opinion of Marvel, and it's just two things.
Here we
People
go.
love Tony Stark, absolutely love Iron Man.
They do. I do.
I'm not a fan. I know you do, and I just can't get into it. I think it was the same with Han Solo. I just don't like the cocky sort of dickish personality. Like they're funny, sure, but it sort of puts me off.
Yeah.
Like especially when they're not smart. Like they're smart, and I appreciate
Smug.
Tony Stark like character. I don't like him, but I appreciate it. I really like his. They could have done more of him in the movies in terms of what they did in the comics, where he had alcoholism, he had substance abuse, where there was a point where Rhodey had to fill in his boots and be Iron Man, and people at that point I don't think knew his true identity to begin with, so they just assumed there was nothing different about this Iron Man having a slightly different voice. Maybe there was a voice changer because he's bloody Iron Man, but Rhodey was for a long time Iron Man in the Avengers because Tony was dealing with alcoholic substance abuse, and I really appreciate that sort of character, not quirk, but imperfection that he has to deal with. And it's something they try to integrate in a way with this third film after Avengers, where he has PTSD. I really like Iron Man 3. It's really good. I like the fights, I like the action. The villain is really bad with I don't like what they did with the villain. It's very bad. A lot of people will agree with that though. But I feel him getting over his PTSD in a matter of a few days is not very realistic. I could see and be happy with him learning to cope with it, but still having panic attacks and feeling PTSD and seeing a shift in his character. I was watching a video on this character and where it went. He was good in the first film. He's not too dickish. He's just right. He's got his problems. He struggles, just like in I think Civil War and Infinity War. You can really see his character's trying his hardest to do what he needs to do. Like in Avengers: Age of Ultron and Iron Man 3 and 2, it's a bit contrived. I think the Russells really worked well fixing him with when they directed Civil War and the Avengers films after that. My other controversial opinion with Marvel is I don't dislike the film at all. I actually quite like it. It's a good film. It's good. It's great.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Oh, you know what I'm gonna say. Is
I know.
Captain America, Winter Soldier, is one of my least favorite of the Marvel films. It's like if I were to have an S through to D tier, it'd probably be C tier. It's maybe
one of the
C or B.
It's one of the worst. Although it is an unpopular opinion. So many people love it.
People really, and I can see why they love it. It's dark, it's gritty. It's what people expect DC to be, and that's what annoys me. Because if you're expecting DC to be like that, and you like DC, but you like this dark and gritty film just because it's different, it makes sense from a narrative point, but it's just I didn't enjoy it as much. Comic book wise is the same; it's very similar. I just really enjoyed the first Captain, because the first Captain America is my S tier Marvel film.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites, if not pretty much my favorite Marvel film.
I would agree.
I don't even like Captain America. The character is, I don't really like him the most because my favorite character in the MCU so far is probably Spider-Man, maybe, or Nick Fury. I really like those characters. A lot of good characters. I really liked as well. Just a lot of characters to pick out.
There's a lot of good characters. In those films as well. I think it kind of leads us on to the next topic as well, of favorite films. Yeah, I think right now if we talk about MCU, right? For me, out of the MCU franchise, I think I have a lot of respect, and I don't think there's any that I dislike. I think
there's one you haven't watched.
There's
a very controversial watch, isn't it?
Oh, is this
the part of me that it's not the start. I think it's the second one, The Incredible Hulk.
I've not seen that.
I've not seen that. A lot of people. That's another controversial opinion of mine. Sorry, but I can button in. But I quite liked it. I quite liked the fight scenes. I don't think it was a fantastic film, but it was enjoyable. It's one of those stupid, funny films. But I can't watch I think my brother really likes the first Hulk film, but I just can't get into the CGI. It's so ridiculous looking for me. But I think he's vice versa with it. But your favourite MCU films for you?
Yeah, I think the ones that sort of stood out to me the most would be Guardians of the Galaxy is one. I think I don't know. I think there's something special about the whole crew.
Yeah, and it grows as well. Each movie, you somehow get
Chris Pratt.
A new member.
Chris Pratt's just fantastic. I think Guardians is just an iconic one, but it's also made that much better for me, you know, as a musician as well, is because of the soundtrack and the mixtape, as it's known as.
Well, what we can learn is that James Gunn does wonders with films.
Oh yes.
And
Oh
Marvel,
my.
Disney ever firing him was their biggest mistake when he signed on to Make Me a Happy Man to do the Suicide Squad film in 2021 or whatever year it comes out. And then the bloody
Could be a while,
yellow-bellied
yeah.
cowards they are rehired him because they saw their lost opportunity.
I know.
He was a changed man. But
Oh, pardon me.
for the MCU, for me, I think the three films that really stand out the most to me are Captain America, the first one, the first Avenger. It's probably my favourite of
Yes.
the lot. Followed by Doctor Strange, Ant-Man,
Ooh.
and I really like I really like Spider-Man Far From Home and Homecoming. I think I prefer Homecoming
Yeah.
to Far From Home because that twist, I feel a twist in Homecoming was a lot less unexpected than Far From Home. You could tell what was going to happen in Far From Home. That's the only bad thing about that film. But
Mm.
the scenes, the
Oh
Mysterio
my.
scenes from when, oh my god, it's the visuals are amazing.
It is a fantastic.
In fact, I love Mysterio so much that I got the steelbook edition of the movie. It looks wondrous, beautiful. I just love the costume design. They didn't hold back, making him look as much as like authentic to the comics.
Yeah. Props to Jake Gyllenhaal as well.
Yeah.
I think his performance was fantastic as well. You mentioned Ant-Man in that list. That's another one for me that really stands out. Both of them as well.
I think it's disappointing because a lot of people didn't really like it or thought it was boring, and I'm like,
some people didn't see it as well.
yeah.
But man, I loved it.
Yeah. It was really fun. I did it like scientifically, physics wise, with how he works, especially in Ant-Man 2 and when he appears in Civil War. Him getting bigger and punching stuff wouldn't make sense because when he changes size, it's supposed to keep his mass the same as it was when he's a normal human. So theoretically, when he's giant and he punches something, he'll hurt himself and knock himself back because he has the same mass as he would be as a 5'11", 120-pound man or something. You'd fall back in that. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like science fiction sort of stuff, but it's not like another thing. Something that annoyed me about people talking about Ant-Man being like Thanos. It just wouldn't make sense. Like I'm not gonna mention like the R-rated version of the situation, but like why can't you just go in Thanos' mouth or his ear and him get big? Well, the reason is that man's so endurable, his skin can't be broken by literally like a pocket knife or anything. Like Thor can barely damage him before he got Stormbreaker. Is if he got big in his ear, he'd be a little Ant-Man jam. Ant-Man jam would be popping out of that man's ear because he'd be squished.
I know. You know what's important as well, I find, to what makes MCU films good, and what makes like Ant-Man good for me as well, is like the humor. I find the humor very well placed. It's, you know, I love the jokes. I thought it was fantastic, and it's something that's quite prominent in quite a lot of MCU films. There's just a spot of humor here and there. But what one I disliked humor-wise, I thought it was just so over the top and unneeded. It felt forced, and it was Thor Ragnarok.
And
that's going to annoy some people.
That's going to annoy some people, but like in our defense, we really enjoyed the film. We really liked it.
Yes,
we loved all the jokes. There's no jokes that were like, "Oh, that's shite. That shouldn't." Like what we believe is as a Thor film, it was trying to be more of a Guardians of the Galaxy film with Taika Waititi's direction. It's like it was more focused on getting jokes and lightheartedness. When Ragnarok, the event itself, Ragnarok in the comics, is some
it's a very serious.
It's people are
Ugh.
dying, and it happens at the end of Ragnarok. That happens with the lead up into Infinity War. It's dark, but that's the only part of the film. And there's an after credit that this happens. It takes away, like, I love the film, and it could have worked really well as like a future, like, Guardians of the Galaxy film with, like, now that Thor is with the Guardians. He's a Guardian, the Asgardian of the galaxy per se.
Yeah.
Like, I can see where they were going. It was a well-made film. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. It's like a B tier, maybe A tier for me film, but I believe it could have been S tier if it like falls more closely to World War Hulk, which it was also doing, and Thor Ragnarok being a lot more darker. It could still have its humor. That's the thing. That's why the first two Thors didn't work well. Is it was all, oh, I will crush you with my hammer. My jokes come in really dry, sort of stuff.
Yeah. It's weird because the Dark World, Thor: The Dark World, is more dark than Ragnarok is, and it shouldn't. Like, Ragnarok should be darker.
Like, it doesn't need to be gritty dark. It can't be like, it could have the colours it has. It definitely needed those colours. It was a really nice landscape. Jeff Goldblum was a fucking. He was a treasure. He was a treasure of that film.
He is a national treasure.
He's a national treasure.
So, what other favourite films do you have outside of the MCU?
I was none of the things on my list were actually MCU, funnily enough.
Oh, really?
No. Well, my favourite film of all time, whether it's because of nostalgia or anything, but I'm an avid Transformers fan, which is why Michael Bay makes me fucking fuming. But let's not get into that. Is the 80s Transformers film, Transformers the movie, with Stan Lee with a lot of songs in that movie. Stan Lee? No, that's not his name.
Stan Bush.
Stan Bush.
Stan Bush. That's
Stan
the one.
Bush. That's it. Stan Bush. He still does stuff nowadays, and I like it. But I really liked the music of that film. It was, when I was younger, I was not into any music. What really got me into music to begin with, because I really liked that you got the Touch song. The Touch, it's called. You've got Dare. You've got just the Transformers theme. Everything felt retro. The animation in that film was fantastic. You've got Orson Welles as Unicron, I think it was Unicron. He did a beautiful job. I think that was one of his last works before he died as well. It's a shame. You've got Peter Cullen, who still voices Optimus Prime to this day.
Yep, he is still going.
He's a one mad lad. It'll be a damn bad day when he dies.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I think there's when it comes to films, like favourite films, I think nostalgia will factor in for a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think that's just natural. I think a lot of people will be looking back towards films they watched, way back.
Yeah, because I had not to like stop you there, but I still want to talk about Transformers. It's still my favourite. It's still my favourite. The animation was gorgeous. I think a lot of it was done abroad as well to get that good stuff. I think they hired a lot of like Asian mecha animators who are well known for like drawing like robotic things, especially for when Unicron transforms. I love the characterization. I love the dread that Unicron has. Like you're watching it as a kid, and it's like a kid's movie in a way, but you've got this big, huge, hunking like transformer Unicron, voiced by Orson Welles, which is only just gonna amplify like the danger you feel. He's eating planets, a planet of which the main character's Da was on, a moon, I think. And you're like, oh no, Bumblebee and stuff. It's like a dread. You're like, stuff's happening. This is a dark film. Many characters die, including like spoilers for this, over 30-year-old movie. 34 years old, I think it is. Optimus Prime dies. The music in that, it's an all-time favorite for me.
But that happens quite early in the film, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I think
quite an early point.
The way it goes is you see Unicron eating a planet. It moves on to Hot Rod, who is like the main Autobot of the film, the lead with the human character. They see Decepticons that have invaded a ship, and a whole battle goes on in the Autobot city, transforming city they have. And Optimus comes with the Dinobots and wrecks everybody's shit to the Transformers theme, I believe. And then, due to Hot
Just
Rod's
casually.
mistake, Optimus Prime takes a shot at. Gets a shot taken at him by Megatron, of which Megatron is also on the verge of death. It's like a very impactful scene early on. He's like, "Oh, how is this going to roll out?" Obviously, like by today's standards, it could look way different. But I think it's just a phenomenal film for the time it came out.
Definitely.
How about yourself? Any favourite films?
Well, as I crack another tinny right here. You know, if we're mentioning nostalgia, I think one of my two favourites from back when I was younger was a Jim Carrey film, The Mask. That for me is just magnificent. It's like all the scenes, and it's a very strong performance from Jim Carrey. You know, during his peak. I can't mind what year the film came out exactly, but I think I think the storyline and all the scenes and the I think one of my favourite scenes is the Cuban Pete, where like the police are trying to stop him when he is the mask, and he just bursts into like song and dance as he escapes. It's very humorous.
Yeah.
And I mean the premise is like
Wacky.
the actual mask itself is the mask of Loki.
Yes,
right?
it's got this sort of lore to it as well. That they don't really touch on apart from it. You just know it's
Not
Loki's mask.
particularly.
But
Yeah.
then there's that shameful sequel they get, Son of the Mask, which delves into
let's not talk about
the sequel. Which the only thing I want to take note from that movie is I think Loki is played by the guy that plays one of the villains in Spy Kids.
Oh really?
The guy that he's like the Willy Wonka man-child in that film.
Ah. Wow.
But we're done with Son of the Mask because that film cannot even compare to The Mask.
Not at all.
A film that you got me to watch, I think in
I
2016
did.
for the first time.
I did.
And it proved that it wasn't a film that needed nostalgia because I really fucking enjoyed it. It's
a
really good film.
Because you get to have the perspective of not having nostalgia.
Yeah.
And if you're saying, you still enjoyed it, then, that's a tip to how good the early Jim Carrey films are.
It's also a comic book movie as well. It's a comic book movie, and it's funny how different it is. I was looking into it, and The Mask, the comic, is R-rated, and there's a lot of gore in it. Like, there's a lot of blood and killing, and I'm like, why did they pick this of all things to make a movie of? Like a friendly comedy.
Yeah.
It was the same with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I believe. It was also like an 80s movie, but it was based on a gritty, like, I think there was blood. It was a black and white comic, so you didn't know the colours of the turtles, really. But yeah, The Mask is a really good film.
I think another one I watched when I was younger, which has the nostalgia factor, is Bill and Ted. I think there was Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, I think it is. I can't quite remember the names of them, But there was two, I think there's two or three, maybe.
I think I watched the second or third one. I don't have that much exposure to the films, but I think it's very... What's the humour? Is it stoner humour-esque films?
Yeah. At the time I was very like just oblivious to the nature of the humour, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it back then. My innocence. I enjoyed the story of like the whole time travelness. And I think both of them work really well off of each other. But yeah, it's like a stoner vibed like comedy sci-fi, and it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those ones that gets me personally.
There's always that film. I was gonna move on to my other film being El Dorado and speak about that, but honestly, upon thought, with its animation studio, being produced by DreamWorks, I realise DreamWorks has a lot of bangers. Is Shrek's also DreamWorks, isn't it? I think it is.
Yes, it is DreamWorks.
It
Yes.
has a lot of underrated bangers. Shrek not being underrated, it is massively popular now, but like it has a lot of underrated bangers. El Dorado, it has Prince of Egypt. Like there's so many good films that are just not seen. It came out with some popular films like Kung Fu Panda and its trilogy. They're really good films with Jack Black. It's a really funny film. It's a lot of high end voice actors and it's got Sifu's voiced by can't mind his name. But I know there's Lucy Liu as Viper. You've got Angelina Jolie as Tigress. You got your man Seth Green as Mantis, and it's Dustin Hoffman as Master Shifu and Jackie Chan as Monkey. There's a lot of high end actors on here. You got David Cross as Crane, Ian McShane as Tai Lung. There's a lot of high end voice actors here. It's a really enjoyable trilogy. Same with How to Train Your Dragon is beautiful. Unless you audience, unless you're not aware, my pal here, my pal Dino, is not one to partake in animated films or things in general. He is not a fan of it. That's fine. It's very against my nature, and I hate him for it. But you know,
yeah. That kind of ties into the unpopular opinion, I guess.
I suppose.
Yeah, just 2D animation and 3D animation. You know, you've got your actual anime, you've got your cartoons, you've got just general stuff of that animation.
Yeah.
Like one of your favorite films, actually, that you haven't mentioned, that came out, was it 2 years ago now?
Yes.
Or maybe the last year? I think 2 years ago, and it's the Spider-Man. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah, you just, there's a lot of things that I'll be surprised that you don't like the art style of, and that the cartoons you grew up like Ed, Ed and Eddie that you really enjoyed. I'm like, what did you think of the art style of that then? And you're like, no, I think it looks awful. And I'm like, you truly do despise animation.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get off that topic because it's only going to rile me up.
Oh, I know.
But
that's your soft spot.
Next segue into the Spider-Verse for me is another one of my favorite films that I got on DVD. Along with I'm pretty sure all my favorite films are on DVD.
Right?
I don't have the steelbook for it. I think the steelbook for it was for 4K, and that was like £35, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pay that.
Not yet.
No. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the narrative of that film. I really liked the feel of it. There was a lot of good, fantastic visuals in it. Amazing music. I'm pretty sure Johnny Staples or something Staples, Vince Staples. That's it. Vince Staples.
Yes, Vince Staples.
He did the main theme at home.
Yeah, he did.
And I really like that.
That is a good.
I think
that is a good theme.
when I took my brother to see it on my birthday for the second time seeing it, he really enjoyed Peter Benjamin Parker, which is how they distinguish the different Peters. He's Peter B. Parker. He's the older one. He's like in his mid-30s to early 40s. Really enjoyable character. Much up my brother's alley as a character. I think my favourite is Miles. Just, I love the costume design. I love all the characters. I think a friend of ours, Andy, really enjoyed Spider-Man Noir and his Rubik's Cube endeavours. And one particular joke where Miles and Peter are running away with the PC and the monitor, and Peter tells Miles, the good news is you don't need this, and he throws away the monitor. I absolutely ended us. But any other movies yourself?
Yeah, actually, there's two classics, right? And we had this discussion before. We were like, there's tons of films that are identified as classics and must watches. you know. And we ended up getting round to watching quite a few of them. And I think these two that I find my favourite, right, is Airplane.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think both both Airplane 1 and Airplane 2 are just they're amazing.
They are
Really.
amazing. They're literally the man who did the writing and directing for that is just too much. Like, it's to the point where he did a TV show. I can't mind what it's called, but I think it's like a cop show. And apparently, it was way too funny. It had to be cancelled after like 6 episodes. That's. I think it
Wow.
was. The jokes were so fast paced and over the head of so many people. Like subtle jokes and funny jokes. It was going by so
Yeah.
fast, so chock a block with substance, comedy, and stuff that some people just didn't know what was going on. It was some things they're picking up on, some other things they wouldn't.
Yeah.
The man knows what he's doing comedy wise, slapstick, whatever. Airplane films.
There's so many good jokes in those films. It's just
I need to rewatch.
man.
I need to watch them. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Because that was
Definitely.
another pair of films I hadn't watched until you got me to watch them.
So yeah, that and then another one that we got into watching, and it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Aye.
That also falls in my category of favourite films, and I think most of these are like sort of comedies.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my favourite films tend to just lie in comedies, you know.
Well, you can definitely tell where mine lies with the 2D animation.
2D animation.
CGI, not live action. But that could be a good segue into my next two favourite films.
Mm-hmm.
One of which you'll know very well is Joker from 2019 with Joaquin Phoenix's performance in that was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. The way I think he lost a lot of weight for that.
Very solid film.
It's very psychological. You have to pay attention to pretty much everything. There was a lot of good, nuanced jokes. Like people, like I need to get my brother to watch it. He states it isn't Joker to him, but if he were to just bloody watch the bloody film, he'd bloody know.
Just watch it.
Just watch it. I've got the bloody DVD. You can watch the bloody film. If everybody else I know who watched this wants to watch it and haven't, I'll bloody give you the bloody DVD. Bloody.
Yeah, I was one of those people who I didn't really hold too much of an opinion on it beforehand. You know, I wasn't massively interested in it, but I wasn't not interested in it. You know, I just sort of sat in the middle. You know, it's just like I'll wait until it comes out in cinemas and I'll see it and then see what it's like for myself.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype around it as well. Like so many people were bigging it up as just
like
such an incredible film,
masterpiece. Some sort of like.
And once you see it, it does kind of hold that ground. I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of films that has hype, and you're like, oh, I wonder how it is, but they're not that. Doesn't hold the same ground. But Joker is definitely one of those ones that does.
Oh yeah, that's the sad thing. We don't want to get into like any plot points or anything in case people who go to watch it haven't seen it or like. All I can really say is I really enjoyed everybody's like action films. I really like. It's definitely not your run of the mill DC film, let alone comic book film. It's up there with Logan in terms of like philosophy and like thinking and like characterization. It's another film you haven't seen is Logan.
I still need to get round to watching that. Yeah.
All I can say, which is another controversial opinion, is I really like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I really enjoyed his portrayal, and I think that Heath Ledger's is definitely dominated by Joaquin's performance. And it's very much. I think people will still think Heath Ledger's better, but
yeah, too many people hold this like level of what the Joker is.
Yeah.
Because of Heath Ledger, even though Heath Ledger's Joker is just
an anarchist.
Not. Yeah, it's not.
He's chaotic anarchist. He's got jokes. He acts like Joker. He's a style Joker, and I can understand that. But I feel like what Nolan was going for with this film, yet again, we're going to controversy and shit again. This is something I had in my notes, but
General theme in it.
with the Dark Knight trilogy. I liked it. I don't like it as much as I used to because I was introduced to more themes with comics and reading it, and like you've got original content, and that can sometimes not matter if the film is really good. I found that Heath Ledger's Joker, Heath Ledger could have easily been the character called Anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
There's literally a character called Anarchy whose whole basis is that he's an anarchist and he wants to create a riot. I know that the anarchist Joker portrayal in that film isn't anarchy in the way of he wants different government or like government stuff to change or that. He just wants chaotic. He wants things to change in general for the worse. And I can understand that. And his portrayal is great. And rest in peace, my man. It's a shame. But I think something that was butchered way worse, and I love the man, is Tom Hardy's Bane. What the fuck, Nolan? Fuck you. Where's my luchador, mask-wearing, huge, venom-using man who has immense intellect? And, well, he has immense intellect in the film, but, like, immense intellect that can be impeded by venom. Like, you can see what venom really does to him. It's a drug. Like, you miss that theme. Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Bane's one of those characters who, if you compare him to who he is meant to be, you know, when you look at the comics and his actual character, you know.
Yeah, he's very different.
They're not the same. They're not the same.
A thing they got very similar is that he was trapped in a prison in some desert in Saudi Arabia or something, and he gets out by climbing out, and it's very not similar, but like it follows the basis of a prison, where Bane in the comics is his mother gave birth to him, and I think she died, and the father was also dead, so he had to take up his father's prison sentence, and he was in prison for a good 16 years from birth. And it really portrayed like this man is gritty. He's Spanish. I believe he's Spanish or not Cuban, but I can never remember.
Some Latino scent
ethnicity. But I feel that's the thing with Nolan. Nolan was going for a more like real looking, like
he wanted
real, which is why Bruce Wayne as Batman looked a lot more like if Robin, who was Nightwing, became Batman, which has happened. He was very much a skinnier Batman. He took a lot more beatings, which yet again is to portray from Nolan's perspective of it being real. What I've seen from Nolan with Interstellar and a lot of films is he tries to do themes and a lot of like good music and stuff and combine it together to make a solid film, which the Dark Knight trilogy is a solid trilogy. It's a really good trilogy.
Yeah.
And if I didn't hold this bias towards the trilogy, it'd probably be my favourite films.
Aye, so many people are disassociated with what the characters are meant to be, and that's why they see these portrayals in the Dark Knight trilogy, and they cling to them, you know.
I mean,
and that's the thing. I do like Bane. I think Bane's great in the film, and his voice. I really liked his voice, you know. I think a lot of people do. But yeah, it's just.
I mean, clearly
one of these things, isn't it?
The best portrayal is Cesar Romero's Joker and Adam West's Batman. You can't get any better than that. It's peak performance. Aye. Any others from you, or should I go with my final favorite film? Which is also.
What's your? Oh, it's live action.
It's live action. It's a film that I always didn't want to watch when I was younger because it was a horror, and I watched a lot of horrors when I was younger without knowing they were horrors. I didn't think they were that scary, but I got around to watching Alien when I was about 13 or 14, and my god, I really enjoy the aesthetic, the characters, a strong female lead is what it needed. It's a really good film. The xenomorph, it went through so many changes in development as well. It was going to be like white and see-through and shit, but they went for the pure black and you don't know where it's looking. It's a genuinely scary monster, and it's a shame what they did with a lot of the sequels after, but Alien did have a really good sequel with it being Aliens, and they didn't just
Yeah.
copy and paste the same thing. It's more of an action-oriented film with its own thing. It does its own thing, and I really like Alien a lot for its just it's a really good film. Nothing else to say.
It falls in that classic category now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like
Because
one of
that
my
was
things.
the 80s that came
It's
out.
like 1979, I think Alien came out.
Oh, really?
I
But
believe.
yeah, it's like, I mean, there's been so many films of them, and actually, I need to get your opinion because I've seen that MCU Marvel picked up Alien and Predator.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they've
They're planning to make stuff with it.
yeah, they're planning on new films.
It depends because that's where this could fall badly because Marvel's good at making stuff Disney have got their hands on it, Marvel's got their hands on it. They can make good stuff with it movie wise. However, are they gonna let it be R-rated like they're supposed to be? They're gonna allow death and
it needs to be alright.
is it gonna be a horror film like Alien? Or are they just gonna have they
Imagine
bought these
it's
two intellectual properties just to make another Alien versus Predator film and have
with
Captain
tons of
America
humor.
fight Captain America fight the alien,
Oh my god!
chest burster out of Iron Man's chest.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Um,
So yeah, that kind of leads on to what films are you looking forward to?
yeah, upcoming
There's
movies
no
and movies we want made. That's the topic now. I think we both are looking forward to the new Wonder Woman that was to be coming out. Wonder Woman 1984.
Yep. That's been pushed back a couple of times, hasn't it?
Really along with Black Widow. Funny enough, both female leading movies. But well, I really like the concept they were going for Wonder Woman being that it's set in the 80s. It's another prequel-esque film. From concept art and stuff I've seen, I know how the film's. I don't know how the film's going to play story wise, but I know who the villain's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have high hopes, right?
Yeah, I was going to say they obviously they came out with the first one. It's a very solid film.
Very solid.
And it's based on it is the base film. It sets the tone, sets the story. World War.
It's one of them. It's one of the bloody bastards. What I can say about it is it's a solid film, but I think at most it's maybe an A tier film. It's not the top. It's definitely where DC started to turn itself around with quality films. But then you had Justice League right after it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna say is Wonder Woman. Spoiler, I guess. Spoiler, I guess is obviously it sets the character so you know who she is, and then at the final scenes is it shows you her in recent times, and
yes.
They sort of used that to segue into Justice League. They really just skipped straight to Justice League. A lot of people were complaining about how rushed it felt. The whole DCU.
Oh yeah, they that's annoying because I'm a DC fan at heart. I always prefer DC to Marvel. I don't know if it's controversial so much now. In terms of movies, it's controversial to be a DC fanboy, but in terms of comics, it's always been like a feudal war between the two factions. However, people have started to dislike Marvel nowadays as it's less contrived and people aren't liking where it's going in terms of stories and a lot of its values dropping. And DC hasn't. It's been making new stuff with the Batman Who Laughs stuff and all that.
Yeah.
So where else DCEU was failing, the comics started picking up where it was dropping. Saying that, however, they've turned around and they've got the Suicide Squad in their ropes by James Gunn.
Yeah, which I am looking forward to the future of DC films.
Oh yeah, you're particularly looking forward to seeing more of the Flash.
Yes, I am. I think the Flash is I don't know, it's just very interesting, and the casting choice I liked. Seen him in Justice League, I thought he was great.
I feel like that's the problem with the Justice League, and hopefully they maybe change the characterization, is because they had the likes of Cyborg and Flash being like they're the duo, they're like speaking to each other, which is very much ripped, I feel like, similar to Teen Titans back in the day, a cartoon where there was a character called Beast Boy who was very much like Flash's in Justice League, who is sort of annoying, an endearing, annoying person, who doesn't seem that smart, who isn't that collected. He's portrayed as being very new, very inexperienced, even though that's not always the case with his like portrayals in other media. He's supposed to be I don't think he's a blood splatter analyst, but I think he's a crime scene analyst. But hopefully, with this Flash film they're gonna churn out, it'll be good. Maybe we might get some Jeffrey Dean Morgan action. Who knows?
Oh, I would love that. Oh my god, yes. Also, like another film to look forward to is Batman.
Oh, the Batman,
yeah.
With Robert Pattinson. There was a lot of kerfuffle and controversy with him as well. Not like with him being the actor, and apparently his statement saying like, "Oh, Batman should be this, Batman should be that," and from what I've been seeing of his content, normally he's just a prick online for fun. He's a troll.
A troll.
Like he says, "Oh, I didn't work out for Batman, so I'm just going to be normal." People are getting angry at that, but I think there's pictures of him toned and worked out and muscled. So I think he's just taking the piss. He likes riling people up.
I think a lot of people had skeptical opinions at first, you know.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, and the more you see how he looks in the suit and whatnot, I do think it's going to be very good.
I think a cool thing is, I think apparently the bat symbol on his suit is made out of the gun that killed his parents. I think that's a theory or some sort of note that was left. That's the gun. I'm like, that's cool, actually. I suppose. As long as he doesn't kill folk, I'll be fine. I'm looking at you, Zack Snyder Batman, and fucking 80s Batman. Looking at you.
Outside of MCU and DC, what other films are you looking forward to?
I was looking at my notes there and I almost didn't have anything, but the Avatar 2, I suppose. As in
Avatar 2? Is that happening?
It's been happening for years. It's like, I think since the first Avatar came out in 2009, a sequel was was put in production, and it's been in production for the better half of 11 fucking years.
Aye.
It was supposed to come out in 2019, and it was shifted to 2020, and now it's 2021. There's an Avatar 3 and 4 as well in production, as in, like, they've got scripts and stuff to do for them.
Yeah.
It's been all planned. This is supposed to be some big fucking project, but it's taken 11 bloody years.
I know.
I think a lot of people... I think it's funny. There's a lot of funny things to do about Avatar. Like, a lot of people say there's nothing memorable about the film. I think there's a few memorable things about the film. I like the film. But people think it's just overrated or just unforgettable. A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people have started in agreement. Whenever you say Avatar or talking about a thing called Avatar, you're just supposed to automatically think of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you're sinning if you think anything else.
Wow.
Which I agree with, and I think it's well deserved because Avatar: The Last Airbender is a fantastically made show.
Yeah, it's gained a lot of popularity, hasn't it, recently?
Yeah, from Netflix. I think it was added to Netflix, American Netflix. I think we've had it for quite a while. Yeah. A lot of my movies I want to see and movies I'm looking forward to are very much comic book movies.
Yeah.
Are there any that you have before I?
Yeah, I could tell you one. And I mentioned the series earlier, and it's Bill and Ted.
Oh,
that's happening.
Yeah.
It's been ages since they made the other two. So yes, like I'm really looking forward to seeing that and seeing how it holds. You know, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of nostalgia in that. So it's kind of. I think some people are going to be skeptical on whether it's going to be the same in any way, like in terms of quality, especially, you know.
Yeah.
But me personally, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And if you were to ask the question, what films am I looking forward to, like a year or two back, there'd be way more answers, you know.
Oh yeah, like it's 2017 or 18, you'd be like, oh, 100% Avengers. That
Yeah.
was a phenomenal watch. Endgame. I don't think I've ever been so excited to see a film. I think it was my first midnight screening for a film.
Yeah. There's another film that I still need to watch. It came out, I think, was it this year? And it was Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh aye, that
The
sequel. Aye.
that sequel came out. I still have yet to see it.
There's a lot of sequels that came out this year that I have not seen. I think 2019 there was one. It was Zombieland 2. I need to watch the
Oh
first one
yeah.
properly. And I've
Oh
always
yeah.
kicked myself for not watching it properly.
I need to watch that as well, actually. The second one.
Just to skim through this list and move on to the next topic.
Mhm.
My films that I'm looking forward to is obviously Black Widow. Looking forward to the villain.
Yep.
That is one of my favourite villains of anything. I really like him. Blah blah blah. Movies I want to be made are Green Lantern Corps, directed by James Gunn. That would be amazing.
Mm.
Because Green Lantern isn't all gritty. It can do with the humor. He could be very like space cops. There's space cops. That's what the Guardians.
Yeah.
The Green Lanterns are. They're space cops. Have like I wouldn't mind if Hal Jordan was in it, but have like Jon Stewart, who would be a person of color, be really good.
Mhm.
Especially with these times, they need more representation. You would have like Kyle Rayner or what's his other name? Guy Gardner, the ginger, the raging ginger.
Mm.
I'd really like him in the film with Jon Stewart, maybe played by the likes of what's his name? Oh, what's his name? He was in he played the guy in Thor. What's his name?
Chris Hemsworth.
No, no. To play Jon Stewart, no. Heimdall. He played Heimdall. He was the. He died as well. What's his name?
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. Man, no, he'd be really good for that role. But that movie could be really good. It wouldn't just be called Green Lantern. It'd be called like Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Other films I'd like to see is Death in the Family, which would be a Batman film, followed by a Red Hood film, which would like go right into it.
Oh. Oh yes.
Constantine. I'd like to see a Constantine movie. I think he has a lot of potential to be like charismatic for the audience. He's like Deadpool in a lot of ways, but he's magical. Like he's also, I think he's omnisexual. He'll fuck anything. I think he fucks demons a lot. I'm not sure, but he's a cynical dude. He's like the magical equivalent of Deadpool and Batman. Like he's a lot of plans. He's very powerful. I like him a lot. I think Keanu Reeves played him in a movie once. Into the Spider-Verse 2, that's a movie that's coming out. I want to see, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that is in works. What year is that coming out?
It was supposed to be 2021 and it's been shifted to 2022. I don't care how long they take. They've already said
as long as it's good.
As long as it's good. They say they're working on even like better animation styles, and I was like, bruh, don't even do this to my tiny little heart. Break. There's that Morbius film that's coming out, Morbius the vampire film with Jared Leto, which might or might not be involved with Venom cinematic universe or the MCU. Who knows? I would like a Batman film that follows the long Halloween storyline, but that's just like a wee pipe dream of mine. Other than that, move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Casting choices and what ifs for the casting choices.
Yeah. It's hard to think of some good ones, you know. I think one of the first ones that springs to mind for me is Jensen Ackles to play as Red Hood.
Yeah.
Because he voices him, right?
He voices him in Batman Under the Red Hood, and he did a fantastic job. And I'm pretty sure he would love to actually play him. So, like, DC, get your
Yeah.
shit together.
There's photos of him in like the full costume as well,
Yeah.
and it looks incredible.
Just Red Hood is such a nice lore character. I really like the concept of it. Even like I remember people talking about even like getting a Jared Padalecki to play like the likes of Nightwing, because he's really
Yeah.
tall. So and like lanky, he could like work really well. They need to get really into like fight choreography and stuff like that. But a lot of my casting choices are for the past casting choices where people are like, oh, we should get this guy to play him. So like back in the day, Nicolas Cage was going to be casted to play Superman. He was going to play
Nicolas
Superman,
Cage.
and this was at the time in which was after the Batman films from Tim Burton, and he was still in charge of some DC rights. And he wanted it was going to be directed by Tim Burton. The screenplay was going to be written by Kevin Smith, who is Silent Bob.
Yeah.
He does a lot of screenplays and comic writing.
He does, right?
But this never happened. The movie
I
was
cannot
deemed,
imagine it.
Yeah, it was deemed too rich of a deal, and Tim Burton left the project to direct another film. I think it was Sleepy Hollows or something.
Yeah.
Another very peculiar one is Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Octopus. What is with Arnold Schwarzenegger and being offered these ridiculously out of character roles like Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Excuse me, Mr. Freeze with ice puns. One of the most tragic Batman rogues.
Freeze.
He's an anti-villain who's very tragic and wants to save his wife, and they portray him in the bloody film as Arnold Schwarzenegger with bloody ice pans. Like, oh, one of them was about the Ice Age. Fucking what?
I know.
It was going to be directed. This film with Doctor Octopus with Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be directed by James Cameron. Funnily enough.
Oh.
This was prior to his Titanic success, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And the film just never occurred. And years later, quite a few years later, the role was filled by Alfred Molina in Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi film, who was really good. Sam Raimi really knows how to get good villains. Like, I think the third film had Sandman, played by somebody really good, and the first film had Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe's a fantastic actor.
Oh, I've heard a lot of people saying Willem Dafoe would be a great Joker.
People saying he's too old. Well, here's your bloody solution. Make a Dark Knight Returns movie where there's old Batman and old Joker. There's your bloody fucking plotline. Get the fucking female Robin in. Bloody hell. Get the Get the real Batman versus Superman scene in Dark Knight Returns. Have him kick Superman in the chin with a boot. And have a blind Green Arrow. I think he's blind. Or is that Hawkeye and Old Man? I can't remember. Sorry.
Well, talking about DC actually and DC characters with Batman and that, I seen what was it? Because we had Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor Jr.
Yes.
Right. And I seen someone say Bryan Cranston to play as Lex Luthor.
Oh.
Like the actual Lex Luthor, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I can imagine that. Like, if they were both older, if it was an old, like maybe in his 30s Superman, Bryan Cranston would make sense to be Lex Luthor. Yeah, I could definitely see that. That'd be a good choice. Just get anybody
Bryan
bald.
Cranston's incredibly... yeah. Bryan Cranston's another incredible actor. So.
Yeah, charismatic, cold-feeling character. Aye, Bryan Cranston would be good. Might as well just get Aaron Paul in as well and play Jimmy.
You know Shazam.
Aye.
The one I also seen, and having seen the Shazam film which came out, and I think that's fantastic. By the way, I think it's absolutely
Really
incredible. I can't mind the name of the guy who actually plays as Shazam.
good.
But I've seen some people suggesting John Cena. John Cena to play Shazam.
That's
And
like
in ways
that's.
I can kind of see it.
It feels like one of those casting choices people want. It's similar to the likes of getting Dwayne the Rock Johnson to play any old person. It's like you
Yeah.
just want him in it because he's really popular. Like he's not got
Yeah.
the best of acting. You love the guy, but he's no actor or singer for a matter of fact. Bloody Moana. You're welcome.
What can I say?
A lot of these casting choices can only pertain to comic book representation in movies that are being remade because
Yeah.
you can't really go for a film like Parasite. I haven't seen Parasite, or a film like Shutter Island or anything. You can't go, well, that could have been played better by this guy because there's no like original. There's no like previous. There's no predecessors to this thing. So you can only
Yeah, it's got to be something
judge
that
by the
has.
actor's performance.
It's got to be something that's got like more movies to come out, or TV shows,
Oh,
if
aye.
they're recreating like different stories from scratch almost. I think if we're trying to think outside of MCU and DC, one that's always been talked about as like who could play as the Doctor.
Ooh.
That's always been a popular one, and one that's like so many people have suggested this person and this person.
Yeah.
I think one of the most popular ones is like Johnny Depp.
Ooh. Even if that was even like a fucking thought, the BBC or whoever studio looks after Doctor Who could not afford that.
No, they could not afford Johnny Depp.
They could barely afford to make the Doctor Who episodes.
So on a budget scale, in terms of like actors and actresses who can play as the Doctor,
get John Boyega, mate. I want John Boyega to play the Doctor. Fuck it.
John Boyega.
Could you imagine, like, get representation in here? Nobody can complain about it. He's a Time Lord. He shapeshifts after regenerating. The whole point is he has no true form. I'm pretty sure the Master was a young Asian boy at one point.
I think so. There's been
there's no
tons of
political
suggestions
correctness about this. It's just fucking reality.
Idris Elba was one that was highly talked about as well.
Oh, aye, that'd be interesting.
One that I thought would be great.
What?
And that is Simon Pegg.
Oh. Oh.
Simon bloody Pegg.
You know for a fact that the TARDIS has to change to always have a Cornetto somewhere on the fucking TARDIS. And Nick Frost being the companion. Replaces Matt Lucas. This is the solution all along.
Yeah. That is it.
None of the casting choices were bad in Doctor Who. Like, Jodie Whittaker would have never been a bad choice. Like, I haven't seen the episodes, but I can know for a fact, since Peter Capaldi played the Doctor, the writing just went downhill. It's just...
Yeah, the actual quality of the
quality
story.
of the writing elevated a bit when it came to the companion chips. It still had quite a few like not too great episodes, but I really enjoyed
the companion chips.
Aye, chips.
I like how we just call her Chips now.
What
is her name?
Is it not Bill or something?
I think it's Bill.
Is it actually Bill? I prefer Chips.
It's because what was it? The first episode she was in, she was like, "You want some chips?"
Wait, is she even nicknamed that in the show? I can't. Is that
no,
just
she's
thing?
not.
Oh no!
It's literally just.
I just call her Chips. Oh no!
It's her own inside joke.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Let me just search it up. Right, Doctor Who. Bill. It is Bill.
It is right. Bill. Yeah.
Bill Potts. That's the character.
Yeah. Let me just skim over the next two casting roles and then move on to the next topic and finish up. As I think it's Nicolas Cage again, but this is for a character I think he should play rather than one he was offered. I think he'd do a really great like performance as Scarecrow, the villain you would know from Batman Begins, the first Batman film. Is I think he was considered for the role in the past actually, but I do believe he'd fill it nicely. He'd have some sort of freakish charisma, along with his like fascination for people's like phobias. I feel like it'd be really good. Another one that I think, I don't know if it's commonly known, but John Krasinski, the one that plays Jim in the US Office, was offered. He was given an opportunity, like actually offered to play Captain America. He was the first choice.
Oh really?
He refused, however, feeling that he wasn't the right fit. He thought Chris Evans was a better decision. He's seen his like performance. He's like, "Yep, I'm definitely not Captain America material."
Yeah, I would stand by that.
I don't know how I'd feel this on play. Like, I feel like he'd have more of a imperfectionist look of a Captain America, because I think like he's not got the most symmetrical looking face. Chris Evans has got that like American soldier face, like poster boy face. John Krasinski's got this more like imperfection. He's got like the cowlick sort of like, he's got this like his nose is adjacent. Like, nothing against his looks like. Other than that, we can move on to the final topic of movies that never need sequels or shouldn't have had one.
Oh yeah.
And my first pick, just from exposure to it, is Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Horrid. Just horrid, that's all I'm going to say. Nothing else needs to be said about it, but horrid. Jim Carrey was involved with Batman Forever, I think. Alongside, what's his name? He played Agent K in Men in Black. Tommy Lee Jones, I think it is. Tommy Lee Jones. And it was a really weird like direction they went with the characters. Like, Jim Carrey was just playing a weird Joker inside Riddler. The costume is disgusting. Two-Face was... I don't know what to make of Two-Face. He was just there.
Yeah.
I think the original... Because in the first film, I think Batman and Robin, or the film before that, the original one with Jack Nicholson, they had somebody playing Harvey Dent to be the mayor, and it was... he was just turned down. Whether it was because he was black or they didn't want to play the role, I don't know. They just didn't want him to come back as the major role. It's just, I don't know. But those two films are horrible. I can understand why people like the first Batman film, the one with Jack Nicholson, because it's Jack bloody Nicholson. It's a really good job with that role.
What other sequels do you think didn't need made?
Pirates of the Caribbean 4, Stranger Tides.
Oh, really?
It's a film that I chucked on, watched half of it, and chucked it back off. It was not interesting in the slightest.
No.
The only saving grace, if you can even call that, was Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are on the same boat with that.
Yeah.
On the same ship.
Wow.
It's not one that was needed, was it?
And then it had another sequel. Dead Man Tells No Tales, I think. And I rather liked it. I don't think it was like on par with like the first three or the first two. But it was enjoyable, at least. It had its moments.
Aye.
This is one that I think will be agreed with. It's just pretty much most Disney direct-to-DVD movie sequels. Just throwing money at a low budget. Just throw money at a low budget money to make pennies, basically.
Yeah.
It just wasn't needed. There's some ones I like Lion King 2. I can't actually think of any other ones.
Lion King is one that people didn't think needed the
it had sequel. 3 movies. It had Lion King 1.5, which was Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, it did. That was good.
That was good.
That was
I
good.
think I liked what they went for with Lion King 2, because Lion King 1 was Hamlet. It was based on Hamlet. But Lion King 2 with Kova, I think his name is, it's Romeo and Juliet. But a lot of direct to like DVD movies, like a lot of them are actually made to be pilots. Actually, like there was one. I know James likes this. Your band member James likes Atlantis,
Yes,
Lost Empire.
the great
It
James.
had a directed DVD movie sequel,
Hmm.
but it turns out the whole reason that it had one was so that it could start off a TV show. That it just never happened. It was the same for Lilo and Stitch. Actually, they had Stitch the movie, which was
Oh,
a
they did.
TV movie. I enjoyed it mostly because of nostalgia, which led into the TV show. There's just a bunch of those. There's Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. Just, there's no need. There's no like thought. No good
No,
animation.
there's. I tell you one that didn't need a sequel. I think a lot of the time, people have the opinion that they don't need sequels because of how strongly the base film stands. You know, I think it's a solid film, like, you know, from front to back, and you know the story doesn't need to keep going. You know, there's no need for it. And I think one of them would be Anchorman. Very popular film, loved by many, you know, and the casting in it is great. But did they really need to make the second one? Is it as memorable?
You know
Not
what?
really.
It was just a Tango advertisement. Do you remember that? It was like everything associated with Anchorman. I saw Tango plastered next to it. Even in that, like the ads
Oh
for
my
Anchorman
god.
2, the focus was for some reason Tango. It was weird. I'm not a fan. I'm not. I wouldn't say I dislike Anchorman. I think it's an okay film.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I didn't watch it when I was younger. Yeah, again, I don't know. I'm using that excuse a lot. Don't mind me. It's like, oh, I didn't watch it when I was younger, so it's clearly fucking bad. Like, no, just ignore me.
Oh, you know, that's that's the thing. Like some sequels, while at the time and like before they came out, a lot of people would be like, "Was it needed?" Like, you know, it's not. But then once they come out and you see them, and they actually hold a bit of quality to them, you know.
Yes.
And it's
Shrek too.
Shrek. Yeah, Shrek is one that was. It stood quite strongly as just an individual film. It didn't need to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
that's a weird one as well, because it goes Shrek, loved. Shrek 2, really, really loved. Shrek 3, abomination that nobody wanted. Shrek 4 comes out, and it's actually a very funny film. It's surprising how they can think, well, the last film bombed, let's make a new one and actually make it good. It's like, normally that doesn't really happen.
Speaking of fourth iteration of a franchise, right? And in my opinion, like, it would have been fine to keep it as the trilogy. It was a trilogy for the longest time.
For 10,
but
was 9 years, was it? It was
yeah,
9 years that was left alone.
It was the other day, oh my god, the other year, it was Toy Story 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't seen it yet.
Same.
So it's hard to gauge a true opinion on whether it was needed or not. Yeah. But I do feel like the trilogy was enough.
I feel like Pixar were just grasping at, like, okay, we could. It was the same with Wreck-It Ralph. That's another movie that didn't need a sequel, actually. And it bombed, I think. In fact, they were so cocky and confident with the film. It was the same year as Into the Spider-Verse came out. The bloody cocky bastards fucking, they plastered on all their, like, pre-order DVDs and stuff as nominated winner, the trophy or Oscars or whatever bloody reward they get, and then they didn't get it because Into the Spider-Verse was the superior film. The superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I didn't even have Wreck-It Ralph on my list. I just thought of that there. I just, like, there's a lot of films. Incredibles 2 Incredibles 2 never needed to come out. People wanted it.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. People wanted an Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 wasn't bad, actually. It wasn't on par with the first one, at least. I would say it's something you haven't seen.
No, I have not.
You might have a completely different opinion. But
you got any other films?
I think that I Am Legend is a film that should never have a sequel. It is a brilliant standalone.
I think it will be standing alone, I think.
It's been, what, 11 years? 12? It doesn't need a sequel. It won't get a sequel. If it does, shame on you, Hollywood. Shame on you. Can't really, say much, plot-wise, but another one is, I think, Joker is a brilliant movie.
Yes.
It should be standalone.
And that's very relevant right now as well.
And if it's a movie, I think they're confirmed to making a sequel or some sort of in-universe sequel. I feel it shouldn't have a direct sequel. That's what I'm getting at. At least in terms of the Joker's character in the film, Joaquin's character.
It's certainly capable of a sequel because of how wide the universe is. You know, there's a lot of different ways they could take it, and I think if a sequel does come out and when it does come out, it will be good. I think it will hold quality, but yeah, again, you know, it's down to that. You know, the first one being solid, and it doesn't need to. You don't need to develop the story.
No.
That's laid.
Rocky was a weird one. Rocky was had 6 or 7 films, and it wasn't so much that its story was concluded in the first film, because its story is literally he trains, he fights. People want to see that. That's particularly why you want to see Rocky win. And a movie I watched, I think 2 years ago now, with my brother, Creed, which has Michael Jordan as the main boxer in it. Really good film. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. I need to watch the sequel, actually. I'd really recommend that film.
Yeah.
In terms of movies that have sequels, though, actually, Kung Fu Panda is a weird one where they released the first one, and you're like, oh, this could be a standalone thing. But right as it came out, they pretty much confirmed they're wanting to make this into at least a trilogy, and now they're wanting to have, at the very least, 6 films. They have this whole planned out narrative, so it's not like it's sorry, it's not like they're just going as they're going hitting it. It's like, oh, this movie was successful and moving to the next one. They're planning a whole narrative. They're wanting something with it. How to Train Your Dragon was like that. I think they're ending it with the third one that's came out. That was a really good trilogy. But with that, I think that's us.
Yeah, I think that concludes our conversation. Concludes all the topics.
Oh yeah, well,
that we had.
Anybody that was still listening after the controversial opinions will be our true fans and audience. Ha 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 ha. Please don't leave us.
No.
I bid you adieu.
Farewell.
Farewell.